Hey everybody, Karyn Bryant here, speaking with Miles Johns, who's taking on Raoni Barcelos on the same night that Marvin Vettori is facing Jared Cannonier. Listen, Miles, that is an awesome fight. This dude is never in a boring match. So when you got that matchup, I'm guessing that you just were like, hell yeah.
Yeah, I was super excited about it. I mean, like you said, he's never in a boring fight, which I love. I love people that are going to push the pace. And also, he has a little bit of a name in the division. When he
Mhm.
came in the UFC, he was on a 5-fight win streak. And people know him a little bit. They're like, oh, it's a little step up in competition. So I'm excited for that. I've been waiting for one of those.
Well, the thing about it is in case you haven't noticed, your division is ridiculously stacked and like ridiculously good. And so that's the thing is like 15 through 30, you guys are still killers, right? It's not
Yeah.
about just being in the top 15, but yeah. So how important is this fight for you in terms of your ultimate goals here in the division?
It's an important one, and I think it came at the right time. Like my last fight against Vince Morales was a short notice fight, obviously. It was the first fight after I changed gyms, and I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't been at the new gym that long. And then the coach, James Krause, of course, got pulled the night before that fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my first fight coming back from the suspension and from a
Yeah.
loss also. So there was just a lot riding on that fight, like a lot of pressure on my shoulders, a lot of things going on mentally. And
Mm-hmm.
after that, after everything happened, everything unfolded after the fight, finding out that I wasn't going to be able to train at Glory under James anymore and all this stuff, I found a place, Marathon MMA with Trey Ogden, one of James's pupils, and
Mm-hmm.
have really been loving it. And I feel like this fight came at the right time because I've just been working in silence. Me and Trey been putting in the work. We got to work right away. And yeah, I feel like now was the right time that I wanted to make a statement. Like I'm settled into the new move. I've had a fight with another, like I've had a fight out of Fortis already. I've went through
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. I'm ready to go now, and I'm ready to show them who I am and ready to make my run after. So
Yeah, that had to be so difficult for all of you guys having to move gyms there. You know, I really do feel bad for you guys. It's a really tough situation. But as you do move forward here, I mean, have there been, what's been the upside? Obviously, you just said you've got some great training and stuff like that. But has there been anything else too that you've picked up from just having to sort of like buck up in this tough situation in the midst of all the other things that are going on in the UFC? Like, everybody's trying to get to the top, and now you have this kind of major bump in the road that you have to readjust from.
yeah, to say that there was like some tough times would be an understatement. It was extremely tough. Like I mean, the past year has just been a whirlwind. Coming
Mhm.
from that loss to the suspension to moving gyms to the James thing, it's just been so much. I've really learned a lot about myself. I feel
Mhm.
like I've got so much stronger mentally, and I've got so much closer to my family and the people that I love, which is important to me as a fighter. But when I went to Glory, I did feel like the James that I had heard of or that I thought that I was going there for was a little bit lost. I felt like he had a
Okay.
lot of things going on. I don't think that he was as focused into coaching as he was in the past. And I could just feel and I could just see it in different areas. So then when everything came out, now I feel like Trey has been one of his like pupils, somebody that knew he was gonna have a gym forever. So everything
Mhm.
that he was learning from James over the past 10 years, he's like writing it down. This dude is like crazy invested into coaching. I mean, he's a great fighter. He's a super good fighter, but his coaching is on another level. And so I feel like that's been the blessing in disguise. Like, and I was a
Mhm.
little bit, my ego kept me from going there right away as well. Like
Mhm.
after the James thing, I was kind of trying to figure out what I was gonna do. Like, oh, I just moved here for this, blah blah blah. And I went to Houston. I was
Yeah.
training with Adrian Yanis, Rafian Stotts, and Matt Schnell, and they got a great thing going on there.
Yeah.
But it's a long drive from Kansas City, and
Yeah.
I just came from Texas. It didn't make any sense, so I was just kind of scrambling. A lot of the other Glory guys went to Colorado to train at
Mhm.
Elevate or Factory X,
Right.
and so I thought like that ran through my mind. Maybe I'm gonna have to do that. And I guess it was just because Trey had been a training partner before. I just knew him as like one of the guys at Glory, one of the fighters there.
Mhm.
Sometimes your ego gets in the way. It's like, oh, I don't know if I want to go like have him lead me, blah blah.
Yeah.
But people were just kind of hinting, like, have you tried marathon? Like, there's little signs in life. Like anywhere I'd go when I was doing jujitsu or boxing, like, oh, have you tried marathon? And I kept telling my wife, like, yeah, people keep telling me to try marathon. She's like, maybe you should try it out. Of course, they're what the women are usually always right. I was like, yeah, I will, but I'm thinking this and that, this and that. And
Yeah.
the first time I went to practice, I came home and I was just kind of silent. And until my wife asked, she's like, "So how was it?" I was like, "Yeah, I think this is a spot." And this is after we've already spent a lot of money on Airbnbs, gas, traveling, trying to figure out what we're gonna do. And it was just right there down the street. So it's really
Right.
been a blessing in disguise because Trey is like I said, right now he's just super invested. It's a little bit smaller of a gym, so I get more of
Hmm.
like the hands-on one-on-one training and stuff. And
Hmm.
it's just been like I feel like it's exactly where I need to be. I feel like all of it now makes sense. This is where I need to be. This is what I came here for. And yeah, it's exciting.
Awesome. That's so good to hear. And, I guess, we got to learn stuff ourselves sometimes. People can tell you and tell you and tell you, and
Yeah,
you just got to figure it out yourself sometimes for it to really sink. But,
yeah,
you did
yeah.
mention the suspension. Now, that was for Adderall. Is that right?
Yeah, and that was a whole nother thing. I mean, I had a prescription, I had a
Uh-huh.
diagnosis, I'd had a diagnosis for a long time. I just didn't file the TUE because generally before fights I try to stop taking it just
Hmm.
because I feel like it takes away some of my emotional ups and downs.
Hmm.
It just kind of takes that away from me, which I think is important going into a fight. But it
Yeah.
was it was kind of a tough camp, so I didn't stop taking it as soon as I usually do. And of course, lo and behold, it came up hot on the test and everything. And I got like
Hmm.
suspensions never look good, but I actually
Right.
had like a lot of support from people because there is a lot of people out there with ADHD who do use
Hmm.
Adderall daily, and it does help them. But I also just felt like even through that support and everything, I just felt like that was a sign also that it was time to get rid of that in my life. For one, I was using it a little more in the fight than I had in the past,
Hmm.
which is why it popped on there, why I should have done the TUE, and I don't know. I just there was a lot of things with it that I was in the back of my head. I was already kind of thinking that it was just time in my life that I find a different way to cope with the ADHD, and
Hmm.
so that was just kind of like a slap in the face, for me. And I took that and now I've been off of it completely. I actually cleaned a lot of things up in my life. Like I've been sober, stopped drinking, all that since
Oh.
January and stuff. So there's just been a long, like, soul searching time for me to really figure out what I want, who I want to be, and then actually make the moves to do it, because all that stuff had been in the back of my mind. So yeah, that was for Adderall. I had a prescription and a diagnosis, but didn't file the TUE, but now I'm done with it anyway, and I'm doing great. So
Well, thank you for being so honest about it because,
yeah,
like you just said, a lot of time, the suspension doesn't look good and people wonder about things. I mean, Adderall is a different kind of a thing, from other things that people get popped for. So I feel like
right,
people are a little bit more understanding of that. But yeah, I mean, we hear a lot the martial arts saves people's lives, right? Or they've been able to change bad habits into good ones. So like I'm imagining for you, like maybe you could offer some advice for some other people that have ADHD or something. Like what have there been a couple of little sort of like special insights you figured out that like clicked for you that maybe somebody else could use as well?
yeah. I've really laid off the caffeine
Uh-huh.
in the morning because like sometimes my ADHD would just make me like obsessive about things like OCD and like that would cause like irritation and I've just be kind of scatterbrained. It ended up being like a vicious circle. But
Hmm.
I've kind of laid off the caffeine in the morning. I do more like mushrooms, like
Yep.
not the magic ones, maybe on occasion, but like
I work with the
lion,
shot Evans all the time. Believe me, I've heard everything there is to hear about mushrooms.
yeah, like lion's mane and cordyceps
Yes,
and stuff
good
like
stuff.
that. Just like a mushroom coffee. I actually use
Yep.
Rise right now. They sent me a care package for that, so I've used different ones, but I'm really loving the Rise right now. So doing that and getting like more natural sources of
Hmm.
energy has helped me a lot. And then just really, the OCD was a big part of my like ADHD. Like I would just, and it has helped me in fighting because I'm
Hmm.
super obsessive about all my techniques. I want them all to be exactly right. I want to be like perfect in there, but I've really had to lay off that in the outside life, and kind
Hmm.
of learn to let some things be as they are. And it's also I am a busy man. I got 3 kids and one more on the way, but I'm not trying to do as much as I was previously trying to do. I'm not trying to do it all. I'm living the life of a father and a fighter, and I feel like that's really also helped me because I'm sleeping a lot more. I obviously with that, you're not sleeping that much. I'm probably sleeping double or maybe triple the amount that I was. So I'm recovering.
Hmm.
Um, it's just been good, and I do. So yeah, for those people who maybe are trying to think about getting off of it, I would just
Yeah.
say don't go from one energy source of that to like caffeine and stuff because it give you like the same type of whirlwind in your head. I would just go with something lighter, more natural. And yeah.
That's great advice. It's funny too because I have some mushroom stuff too, and lion's mane I take at night, but the cordyceps and the turkey tail and all
Yeah,
that is
all
supposed
that.
to be
Yeah.
so good for you. And it's interesting that you say that about the hyperactivity because I know some people have found out with certain kinds of autism that when they went on a gluten-free diet, it fixed a lot of things. And so
Yeah.
it's just really interesting what happens in the body. And that's cool that you were able to find that out. So when you look at this matchup, though, when you really do break it down, so what's your plan of attack? If you're going to have all these perfect techniques, what is your plan of attack going to be against a guy that's just like, I mean, he can take a fight anywhere, and he's been in there with some, like, he's just got so much experience. So what do you actually, when you get down to the X's and O's of it, what are you looking at?
I'm just gonna fight him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight my fight. I do think that he's super well rounded. He's a good
Mhm.
boxer, good wrestler, good jujitsu. But so am I. I don't think that he hits quite as hard as me. I know that he's coming off this loss against Umar, and of course it's Umar. Nobody wants to fight that guy anyway.
Right.
But that was a nasty knockout. That was a hard knockout. It wasn't that hard of
Yeah.
a shot. It was like the fake knee into like the little hook, and
Mhm.
it put him to sleep. So he's 36 years old. I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to be chinny, but I think that that's going to be something that's in his head.
Mhm.
I think that even if you push it to the back, it's somewhere in there. Like you're wondering, like, what if that happens again? Like I am getting older. I've been through some wars, and that was, I don't know. It's hard to recover from those type of knockouts, especially so soon. That was just in January.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that if you're having those type of questions, I'm a bad matchup because I'm not throwing like, I mean, the bantamweights there's tons of tough guys, but I think I'm one of the hardest hitters in the bantamweight divisions. I'm throwing dump trucks, I'm throwing to put your lights out. So we'll see. We'll see if his chin is what it used to be or if it's not. I'm hoping and I'm planning for the best Raoni to show up. And
Mhm.
if he does, I'm just gonna fight my fight. I'm not gonna think too far into it. Like if he wants to come forward, we'll stand and bang. If he wants to wrestle, I can wrestle too. We'll just see what happens. I'm taking less pressure off of myself and I'm
Mhm.
focusing more on when I throw my jab, my right hand will be up. When I throw my right hand, my left hand will be up. When I throw all my things, I'm gonna throw them the way that I've trained to throw them because I try to train with perfect technique, and I know that if I do that, something's gonna land. And it's gonna be a early night.
There's also the factor of it being the smaller octagon. There's not a lot of places to go in there
Yeah,
except toward your opponent.
yeah, and I think that would be good too. And I think some people have questioned about my cardio.
Mhm.
In the past, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I've had knockouts in the third round. Both of my knockouts of the night came in the third round. But I'm here to tell you right now that my cardio is on a different level than it's ever been on. So
Mhm.
I'm super excited about that too because I know Raoni loves to push the pace. I know he's going to be in my face the whole time, and it's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get in there. Let's get active, and let's see who's swimming in the third round. And I think I know that I'll be swimming. We'll see if he can keep up.
Nice. Well, so as I mentioned at the beginning, you are in such a great division. What do you, well, first of, I mean, there's a lot going on, right? Do you think Aljo and Sugar Sean are going to fight this soon? Like, who do you like in that matchup even?
You know, I like Aljo if he was trained like he trained for Henry. I feel
Okay.
like he got a little bit bullied into taking that fight so soon. He
Mhm.
worked his freaking butt off. You could just tell by his energy and his aura. Like he worked so hard to fight Henry and to get this fight booked immediately. Even
Mhm.
if it's a little bit of ways, you don't have to start training camp. Like as soon as you sign that line and the opponent's on there, it's in your head. Like it just seems pretty mentally taxing. And I'm not sure if he can keep the pace that he had going, with
Mhm.
all the injuries and neck injuries and everything. So, um, I don't know. I feel like he got a little bit buoyed into this, but hopefully he'll be able to get it together and he will be able to train as hard as he did for Henry. Because I think if he does, I think Aljo takes that. But it'd be sad if we didn't get to see the best Aljo fight the best Sean because I know Sean's gonna be at the best. Like he's had some time off. Like he's
Yeah.
taken a really good path up. Um, and done the right way. So I know he's gonna be firing on all cylinders, and hopefully Aljo will be able to as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I personally was like, wow, that's a fast turnaround
That's
for
fast. Yeah.
all the same reasons that you just said. Looking forward to seeing that fight. But at the top of the division, we also have Corey Sandhagen's up there. There's a lot of guys hanging around. I feel like the one that people are questioning is Jan, I guess, right? Since he's lost a few fights in a row, but he's still up there near the top. But have you in your head kind of like mapped out the opponents that you would like how far, in your mind, are you 4 fights away from asking for a title? Are you 3 fights away from getting that shot? Like how where do you think you are in terms of climbing and asking to get to the goals that you want?
To be honest, when it comes like the very top of the division, right now I don't look at them as much. Like obviously there'll be future opponents, but by the time I get up there, or there's no telling how long people last up there. Sometimes you can be in the top 5 floating there, and then all of a sudden you're dropping down in a big way. So I'm more so worried about like just the guys floating in mine. I feel like after this fight, I'll have one more fight within like the 20 to 15th rank, and then after that I'll be fighting for my number. And in the 20 to 15, there's multiple handfuls of guys that it could be, and so I'm not really too worried about who that's going to be right now. I just know that I need to beat Raoni, and then I'm going to have one more fight against some other tough dude, and I need to beat him, and then I'll be fighting for my number. Once I fight for my number, it'll probably be 3 fights in the top 15. You win 3 in a row in the top 15, you're probably looking at a title shot. So I could still be 5 fights away from that. So who knows who's going to be up, who's going to be there at that time. There's fights like Ricky Simone and Song Yadong happening that are like changing the rankings like every day, and like exposing people for different things. So yeah, we'll see what happens at the top, but I feel like I win this one, I win one more, and I'm going to have my number next to my name.
Nice.
That.
And there's a couple people too, right? Like Dominic is still in there. We don't know how much more he's going to fight, right? You're right. There's going to be some turnover up there.
And there's Said Nurmagomedov and Kyler Phillips are about to fight. I mean, that's a banger. Those guys, neither one of those guys are ranked. Like, how is that? It's insane. That's that's crazy. So
it's true.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Because I know at work a lot of time we talk about the bantamweight division, and we're just like, it's stupid. Like it's stupid. Yeah. Like you almost can't make bad matchups. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. So you said you have 3 kids and 1 more on the way. When is that baby due? Do you know what you're having?
Yeah, he's due in July.
Okay.
July, and it's another boy. 4 boys. 4 boys. So we're done after that, but yeah, he's due in July. So hopefully, I've been putting everything into this camp. My wife's a soldier. She's super pregnant right now, but taking care of all those the other 3 crazy boys while I'm doing this, and I just plan to go and get this win, and then focus on taking care of her and bringing the new one to the world.
Nice. Well, I have to ask before I let you go, because that usually the fighter curse is that you all have nothing but girls. Most fighters I know with children more often than not have daughters, and if they have multiples, it's multiple daughters and stuff like that. It's rare to see a fighter with 4 boys. So do you have any advice for those out there? What was it about your timing? I don't want to get too personal, Miles, but was it a timing thing? Like how did you get 4 boys?
I just got to thank God, like I don't know. I feel like it was just meant for me, and yeah, it was just meant for me.
Nice. Well, you are going to be fighting right around Father's Day, so hopefully everything goes your way. But yeah, I guess that's a lot of excitement. So I'm sure extra $50,000 would probably serve you pretty well if you're able to get a fight night bonus and all that. But you're definitely in the kind of a fight that brings that out against Barcelos. So
absolutely.
I wish you the best of luck. And yeah, thanks for talking with me today, and best of luck.
Hey, thank you.